People always want to ask about the guards, like it's some kind of forbidden romance thing, some little fantasy they got in their head from a show they watched. And every single time somebody asks me, I gotta sit there for a second and decide how honest I'm actually gonna be about it. So, here's honest. Yeah, it happened. All the time. And not just where I was at. Everywhere. Different countries, different languages, women who didn't speak a word of the same language I do. Same exact thing, over and over. And I'm about to tell you what it actually was. Not the version people want, the real one. First thing you gotta understand, and this is the thing nobody on the outside really gets, is what a guard actually is when you're locked up. He ain't just some dude in a uniform walking the hall. He's the keys, literally. He decides if your door opens. He decides if you get your commissary or if it gets lost. He decides if your write-up disappears or if it follows you to the parole board. He decides if you eat halfway decent that week or if you don't. He decides if you get to call your kid. Think about that. Somebody else decides if you hear your own baby's voice. That's the kind of power we talking about. That ain't normal world power. There's no version of that out here that even compares. So when a man with all that comes around being all friendly, all soft, acting like he's different from the rest, you gotta understand the floor that's happening on. It's not two people meeting. It's a person who has everything and a person who has nothing in a room together. And here's where people get it twisted. They go, well, was she into it? Did she say yes? Like that settles it. Man, when somebody controls every single thing about your entire day, your food, your phone, your bed, your safety, when you sleep, when you move, there is no such thing as you saying yes for real. The yes is just survival wearing a different outfit. 'Cause what's the no, though? What happens to you if you say no to the man who runs your whole world? You think that goes well? You think nothing happens after that? Nah, the no costs you. The no always costs you. So a lot of these girls did the math real quick. They figured out it's safer to go along than to find out what happens if you don't. That's not consent. I don't care what anybody calls it. That's a person choosing the least worst thing in a room where every single door was locked by the same guy. And let me tell you something that took me a minute to see, but once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. It was never random. Who got picked? It was the young ones, the new ones, the ones with nobody, no people on the outside, nobody calling to check on them, no lawyer that gave a damn, no mama writing letters, nobody who'd raise hell and start making noise if that girl suddenly went quiet or got moved or disappeared into the hole for a week. Those were the ones. Every time. 'Cause a man doing this stuff, he ain't dumb. He's a predator, but he's a careful one. He's looking for the girl that nobody's watching, the one where there's no cost to him. He can read a population the same way I can. He knows exactly who's got backup and who's all alone in the world. And he goes for alone. Every time. I used to watch it happen to girls who were basically still kids. Scared. First time inside. Didn't know the rules yet. And here comes this older man being the only person who's nice to him. You know how that messes with your head when you got nothing and nobody? When the only kindness you've been shown in months is coming from the person who's also got total control over you? That's not kindness. That's grooming. Same thing that happened to a lot of us before we ever got locked up, honestly. Just a new building. And it never starts as the obvious thing. That's the part people miss. They picture it like one day a guard just kicks a door open and that's that. Nah, it's slow. It's a long game. First, it's just him being the one who talks to you like you're a person. Maybe he slips you an extra something off the cart. Maybe he looks the other way on a little rule one time and lets you know he did it for you. Maybe he's the one who tells you your write-up got handled. Little favors. little debts. And every one of them is a string he's tying to you, real quiet. So by the time you notice, you're already wrapped up in it. And he's patient. He's done it before. He knows the girl ain't gonna trust him on day one, so he don't push on day one. He builds it. Weeks, sometimes months, till you start dependent on the little bit of decent he's given you, 'cause it's the only decent you got in that place. And the second you're dependent on it, that's when the favors start having a price. Real subtle at first, then not subtle at all. By then, you're already in so deep you can't see where the door was. That's not him losing control to passion or whatever people imagine. That's a plan. Start to finish, that's a man running a plan on somebody who didn't have a chance. People think the body's the worst part of it. It's not. It's what it does to your head. 'Cause now you got a girl who's confused about whether she's a victim or whether she did something wrong. He's got her thinking it's special, thinking it's a secret they share, thinking maybe she's got a little bit of power now 'cause this guard likes her. And that's the cruelest trick, 'cause she's got less power than ever. She's just been told a story about it. And the other girls see it too. Some of them hate her for it. Jealousy or thinking she's getting extra. So now she's isolated even more, which is exactly what he wanted. The more alone she is, the more she's only got him. I've seen women break behind that. Not from the act, from the head games. From being made to feel like it was something they chose when they didn't choose nothing. Now here's the part that'll really tell you everything you need to know about how the whole thing works. When it came out, if it ever came out, which most of the time it didn't, you want to know who got moved? Who got punished? The girl. Every time. She's the one who gets shipped to another unit. She's the one who gets written up. She's the one who suddenly got a reputation, who's a liar, who's manipulative, who came on to him. They flip the whole thing around so fast your head spins. The one with no power somehow becomes the dangerous one in the story. And him? Maybe a transfer. Maybe he works the other wing for a while. Maybe, if a whole lot of noise gets made, if there's something on camera, if a girl's got real people fighting for her, something happens to him. But that's rare. That's the exception. Mostly, nothing. 'Cause here's the thing you got to get all the way down in your bones. The system is built to protect itself. And a guard is the system. An inmate is just a number that complains too much. When it's his word against hers, it was never a fair fight. It was decided before anybody opened their mouth. Now, I told you it almost never gets him caught, but I seen it happen. Once or twice. And I want you to hear what it actually took, 'cause it'll tell you how bad the odds are. It wasn't one girl speaking up. One girl speaking up gets buried, gets called a liar, gets moved, and that's the end of it. It took a bunch of them. It took women who normally don't trust each other, who got their own beefs, all deciding the same thing was wrong and all saying it at once, so it couldn't get brushed off as one bitter inmate making up stories. And even then, even with a bunch of them, it took somebody on the outside who'd listen. A lawyer, a reporter, somebody's family that wouldn't let it go quiet. And usually it took something you couldn't argue with. Camera footage, a pregnancy, something physical that the place couldn't just say didn't happen. That's how high the bar is. You need a crowd and an outside witness and hard proof, all three, just to maybe get one man moved. And you want to know what justice looked like the times it worked? He resigned. He retired. He got a quiet transfer with his pension. He didn't go where we went. Almost none of them ever did. So when I say the system protects itself, I'm not being dramatic. I watched what it costs just to scratch it. So when somebody slides into my comments like, "Ooh, tell us the spicy prison stories. Tell us about the guards." I'm not going to do it for you like that. I'm not. 'Cause there's nothing spicy about it. There's nothing romantic about a woman with no power getting worn down day after day by a man who's holding every card she's got. That's not a love story. That's not a steamy little secret. That's the oldest trick the place runs. Take somebody who's already got nothing, strip the last little bit of control they had left, and then call it a relationship so everybody can look away and feel okay about it. I'm not going to help anybody look away. And it don't end when she walks out the gate either. People think you get released and it's over. It's not over. I knew women who got out still not even sure what to call what happened to them. Couldn't say the word for it. 'Cause for years somebody told them it was a relationship. It was special. It was something they were part of. So now they're on the outside trying to figure out if they were a victim or if they did something wrong. And there's nobody there to tell them the truth. No counselor asking the right question. No paperwork that says what it was. Just them, alone again, carrying a thing they can't name. And that does damage you don't see from the outside. Trouble trusting anybody who's nice to them, 'cause last time, nice came with a price. Trouble with anybody who's got any kind of authority over them. A boss, a landlord, anybody holding something they need. 'Cause their whole body learned that's what danger feels like. They carry it into everything after. That's the part that makes me the maddest, honestly. It's not just the time they did. It's that the place reached out and kept taking from them long after they were supposed to be free. I tell you all this because I was there. I watched it. Some of it I watched happen to girls I cared about, girls I tried to look out for when I could, which wasn't always much. And I carry that. If you ever in that situation, or you got somebody you love who is, the alone is the weapon. Being nobody's watching is the whole thing that lets it happen. So you make noise. You write the letters. You call. You make sure they know somebody on the outside is counting the days and knows their name. That's the one thing that changes the math. Being watched. That's all I got for today. Be safe out there. And quit romanticizing stuff you ain't never had to survive.